The NFL Week 8 main slate is right around the corner. In this video, we're going to be talking about 5 player props that I like on PrizePicks and Underdog. Welcome, guys. My name is DK. Like I said, we'll be talking about NFL player props for tomorrow. I also cover content for daily fantasy sports, NFL, NBA, and for other player prop sites like Underdog and Parlay Play. If you guys are not on Parlay Play, you can use the link down below for $100 deposit match bonus, or you can use the code DKDFS. You can win up to 75x your money on Parlay Play, and they do have a ton of different sports. They already have a lot of props up for NFL, NBA, all the good stuff, combos as well. So if you guys want to give it a try, we greatly appreciate that. Help support the channel. Link is in the description. And as I always say in these videos, best advice is get on as many of these DFS sites as possible, and then search for that value when you do place your player props. And if you guys are looking for more content, you can check out my Patreon link down below. Post a lot more props there, and well as DFS advice. We've had a great month, and let's see if we can keep it going. Now, if you guys watched the Thursday video, we hit both our picks. Dalton Kincaid over fantasy score and K. Dotton over fantasy score. That was nice. Let's see if we can keep it going for tomorrow. All right, so first play we're going to be looking to is going to be a receptions prop. So let's go over to receptions. And we're going to be looking at my boy Tank Dell, currently at 3.5 receptions on both PrizePicks and Underdog. And we're going to take more than 3.5 receptions here for Tank Dell. So let's talk about it. I think this game has sneaky shootout potential with Houston and Carolina. Also, if you take a look at Houston, they are missing one of their starting receivers in Robert Woods. So expect Noah Brown to kind of mix in, but he's not the same talent as Robert Woods. So you're going to get a lot of opportunities for guys like Nico Collins and Tank Dell. Now, Tank Dell got injured in this game pretty early on, but did have 3 catches on 4 targets. This was kind of an outlier week here against Pittsburgh. Weird one where he started getting some carries. But the 2 weeks before that, 5 catches on 7 targets, 7 catches on 10 targets. This game, he wasn't even a starting receiver yet. He only played like 25, 30% snaps and had 3 catches on 4 targets. Well, now Tank Dell is clearly a starting receiver. And everything I've seen from the beat writers, they're going to try to get him going early too. So I think this line is a bit too low. If you take a look at sports books across the industry as well, the juice is on the over for Tank Dell. So we're going to take more than 3.5 receptions. Again, that is available on both PrizePicks and Underdog. Oops. There it is. Yeah, 3.5 receptions. Again, available on both PrizePicks and Underdog. That is pick number 1. Second one we'll be looking to is going to be a fantasy score prop. So let's go over to fantasy score. I'm going to scroll down a bit because, again, my PrizePicks has been acting weird. I have to go into incognito tab, and if I do search it by a player, then it kind of disappears after a few seconds. So we're going to be looking at Tony Pollard at 16 fantasy score, and we're going to take more than 16 fantasy score here for Tony Pollard. So Pollard has basically been like a bell cow back this year. And if you take a look at last game for Tony Pollard, they played the Chargers, 64 snaps. He played 51 of the 64 and ran 24 routes. So he's heavily involved in the passing game, which is great for a site like PrizePicks because it's full point PPR, right? Let's take a look at Pollard here on DraftKings, bring up his game log. So yeah, he kind of got stuffed in the ground a bit by the Chargers, but this is what he can do, right? 6 touchdowns, 7 targets, 5 targets here, 3 targets here, 3 targets here, 8 targets here. Also, what I want to mention is a lot of these games for Pollard, they've been massive blowouts where he did not play the fourth quarter. This game against the 49ers, they got killed. The game against the Patriots, they killed the Patriots, right? This was the one competitive game outside of the one that they just had. 30-10 against the Jets was a massive blowout. 40-0 against the Giants, right? So a lot of these games, he has not played the fourth quarter. He's not gotten his full complement of playing time. Well, this game, you would think it would stay competitive. The Rams are a solid squad. I would think they can keep it at least within striking range, so it's not like a massive blowout. And yeah, he's going to get a ton of opportunities on the ground. He's getting a lot of opportunities in the passing game as well. I just think this line is a bit too low. If you take a look, I've subscribed to a lot of DFS projection sites. A lot of sites are projecting him for about 20, 21 fantasy points. So yeah, I think this is just too low of a line here for Tony Pollard. Now, I do prefer it on PrizePicks to Underdog. Underdog has the line set at 15. But you have to remember on Underdog, it is half point PPR. We're at 15.05 fantasy points. It's half point PPR, whereas PrizePicks is full point PPR. And for a guy that's so involved in the passing game, I would much prefer to take this on PrizePicks as opposed to Underdog. Let's pick number 2. Third pick I'm going to be looking to is another fantasy score prop. Let's scroll down, looking to the Patriots. Like I said, okay, here we go. So Zeke Elliott is at 7 fantasy score. We're going to take less than 7 fantasy score here for Ezekiel Elliott. So the Patriots, they're pretty big dogs here against Miami. We know how dynamic of an offense Miami is. And Zeke Elliott has basically kind of just been a short yardage guy for the Patriots, right? If you take a look at last week for the Patriots against the Bills, this is a game that they did win as well. Ramondre Stevenson played 39 snaps, ran 20 routes. Zeke played 21 snaps, ran 5 routes. So Zeke, again, he'll come in for short yardage situations. I think the only thing we have to really worry about here is if he falls into the end zone, right? But as long as Zeke does not score a touchdown tomorrow, we have a very good chance to hit this. Because if you take a look at his other props, like look at his receiving and rushing yards prop. His receiving yards props at 6.5. His rushing yards props at 28.5. That's nowhere near 7 fantasy score, right? So I think the only thing we have to worry about here is touchdown. As long as he avoids falling into the end zone, we have a very good shot to hit that. Now, Underdog does not have Ezekiel Elliott fantasy score prop or fantasy points prop up. So I would wait on that and see if they do post one for Zeke. They have, again, his receiving yards and his rushing yards, but I think eventually they will post his fantasy points prop. It just Underdog usually is a bit slower than PrizePick for posting their fantasy points or fantasy score props. That's me. Pick number 3. Again, Zeke Elliott, less than 7 fantasy score. Pick number 4, we're going to be looking to another receiving yards prop in the Houston-Carolina game. And this one's going to be Jonathan Mingo. Over to Mingo. And we're going to be looking at his receiving yards prop at 29.5. And we're going to take over more than 29.5 receiving yards. If you take a look at sportsbooks, they have his line set at 30.5. Underdog also has it at 30.5. I'm fine taking the over 2 there as well, but I would prefer, obviously, to take it on PrizePicks. But let's kind of talk through Mingo. So he has basically been playing a majority of the game, and he's been targeted a good amount as well. So I have some stats up here for Carolina. So in their most recent game, Adam Thielen's been their wide receiver 1. Adam Thielen in their most recent game played 55 snaps, ran 39 routes. There were 69 snaps total. Jonathan Mingo played 63 snaps, ran 41 routes. So he ran the most routes on the team, played the most snaps at the wide receiver position. The other starting receiver, DJ Chark, 46 snaps, 28 routes. And Carolina is not a great team, so it should be a good game script right there. Winless, they've been playing from behind almost every single game. So yeah, I mean, if you take a look at, let's just say the last 5 games, 5 targets, 8 targets, 6 targets, 7 targets, 3 targets. Honestly, he's gotten pretty unlucky the fact that he's only gone over this number once in the last 5 games. If he continues to average, 6 targets a game, I think there's a pretty good chance of him hitting his over receiving yards. So again, we're going to take more than 29.5 receiving yards for Jonathan Mingo. Should be a good game script. The Panthers are awful. They're always playing from behind. And Mingo's been out there a ton and getting a lot of targets. Okay, and the 5th and final pick we're going to be looking to is going to be a rushing plus receiving yards prop. So let's go over to rushing and receiving yards. We're going to be looking to Javante Williams here for the Broncos, 67.5. We're going to take less than 67.5 rushing and receiving yards for Javante Williams. So let's kind of talk through the reasons why I like the under here. Well, number 1, the Broncos are pretty big underdogs here against the Kansas City Chiefs, right? And number 2, this is a 3-headed monster right now for the Broncos. I know Javante still, got some snaps last week, but there's 2 other running backs mixing in. So he played 31 snaps, ran 12 routes. Samaje Perine is their passing down guy, 15 snaps, 12 routes. This is a game that should be playing from behind, so I would assume that Perine snaps go up. And then you got McLaughlin that's still a mix in as well and take away some early down work from him. He played 10 snaps and 4 routes, ran 4 routes last week. If you take a look at the week before that for Denver, it was really gross. McLaughlin actually outsnapped Javante Williams. He played 21 snaps. Williams played 18. Perine played 9. So I do still think that Javante Williams is the starting running back, but he's not a bell cow. Not a bell cow by any means. There's 2 other running backs mixing in, and if they do fall behind big time, it's going to be Samaje Perine, playing a lot of the passing down situations. So I like less than 67.5 rushing plus receiving yards here for Javante Williams. That prop is available on Underdog. It's just 1 yard short. I'm still fine taking it. Again, if you can't play in PrizePicks, I'm okay taking the under 66.5, but would prefer that on PrizePicks at 67.5. All right, guys. So those would be the 5 picks for tomorrow. I'll have more posted on Patreon. Also, go check out my NBA video uploaded talking about some props I like for tonight. But yeah, the 5 props again: Tank Dell, more than 3.5 receptions; Tony Pollard, more than 16 fantasy score; Ezekiel Elliot, less than 7 fantasy score; Jonathan Mingo, more than 29.5 receiving yards; and Javante Williams, less than 67.5 rushing plus receiving yards. Those are the 5 picks, guys. If you do enjoy these videos, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Really appreciate all support as always, and we'll see you guys in the next one.